Stories are the most powerful thing on earth. They are literally life and death. Wars are waged based on the story of who is the hero and who is the villain. You are the result of a story your parents told each other, the one-night stand, the soulmate, and friends who became so much more. Life and death. So wouldn't you like to understand them better, these stories? How Story Works, an elegant guide to the craft of storytelling by Lani Diane Rich, demystifies stories and helps you understand why you love what you love, why you hate what you hate, and why prologues are almost always a bad idea. How Story Works by Lani Diane Rich. Available on Amazon in ebook, audiobook, and paperback form. Get your copy today.
Welcome to Still Pretty, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer podcast from Chipperish Media. I'm story expert with the life expectancy of a Spinal Tap drummer, Lani Diane Rich.
And I'm film scholar and little two-door tramp, Noelle LaCroix. And we're here today to talk about Real Me, which I incorrectly called The Real Me last week, the second episode of season 5.
Real Me aired on October 3rd, 2000, and was written by David Fury and directed by David Grossman.
Still Pretty is a fully spoiled Buffy podcast, because leaving crucial details, plot development, character deaths, and so on out of our discussion, analysis, and critique reduces a complex show to a series of plot twists. And we can't do that because it's wrong. Back to what I was saying before we were rudely attacked by nothing. Let's go on patrol. In Real Me, Buffy is training with Giles in deep concentration as she does a perfectly held one-handed handstand until her annoying little sister, TM, Dawn, knocks over the crystals and breaks her concentration. We move into an episode told from Dawn's perspective, narrated from her diary as she complains about her perfect Slayer sister and the life where no one knows the real Dawn. At breakfast, Joyce asks Buffy to take Dawn shopping for back-to-school supplies after going to the magic shop for supplies with Giles, and Buffy is annoyed. Then Riley shows up for a date Buffy forgot about, and Riley is annoyed, although he pretends he's not. In Giles' sexy new car, he complains about the automatic transmission.
Well, it did seduce me, all red and sporty.
But when they meet Tara and Willow at the magic shop, they discover another dead shopkeeper.
I just tripped over Mr. Overdy.
That's what, Vampires 10, Magic Shopkeepers 0? Anyway, Buffy immediately sends Dawn outside where a strange man approaches her. In the magic shop, Giles, Willow, and Buffy start investigating, and Giles gets a look at the books for the place and starts to check it out.
Impressive square footage.
Giles notices that something's been taken from the case, and Willow uses the shop records to figure out that it was a cheap ceramic unicorn. What kind of murderer would steal chintzy chotskis anyway?
Yes, you deserve it.
It's Harmony! In her lair, Harmony has a meeting with her minions, revealing her new plan.
We killed a Slayer tonight.
At Buffy's house, Joyce is a little upset that A, no school supplies, and B, field trip to a murder scene. Buffy has to go out that night to patrol and find the killer, and Joyce has to work, so they decide that Dawn needs a babysitter, something Dawn deeply objects to, until she discovers it's Xander. And sure, he brought Anya, but still, Xander. While they're all playing board games, Harmony and her minions show up and start taunting Xander, who stands safely behind the invitation shield until Dawn accidentally invites Harmony in, who immediately attacks Xander. They manage to throw Harmony out and shut the door, but later when they tell Buffy that Dawn invited a vampire into the house.
Dawn!
Harmony and her minions stalk through the night, annoyed at being outplayed by a little girl and Xander, when they bump into Spike, who promises to kill all the vampires, until Harmony steps up and they have a flirtatious reunion where she shares her plan with Spike.
We're gonna kill the Slayer.
Singing my song now, are you?
Spike inadvertently gives Harmony an idea to kidnap one of Buffy's friends and lead her into a trap, and Harmony gets right to it. At Buffy's house, Buffy complains about Dawn inviting Harmony into the house, and Dawn overhears, of course, and decides to leave. Anya tries to stop her, but Harmony and her minions are there waiting. They knock Anya out and take Dawn. At Harmony's lair, the minions are starting to revolt, but Harmony lays down the law.
We're not eating the girl.
Why not?
'Cause that's not the plan.
Harmony goes down to where they've got Dawn chained up to complain about how nobody takes her seriously. Then the minions who don't take her seriously come down to eat Dawn and mutiny against Harmony, but Buffy shows up and interrupts the coup, and Harmony tries to take control again.
So Slayer, at last we meet.
We've met, Harmony, you half-wit.
Buffy dusts the minions, but while she's engaging in pre-Slay banter with Harmony, hey, even a Slayer needs some foreplay. Minion Mort grabs an axe. Dawn shouts to Buffy, and Buffy turns her attention to Mort while Harmony takes the opportunity to run away. Buffy dusts Mort, gets the chains off Dawn, and takes her home, lecturing Dawn all the way. Back at home, Dawn and Buffy cover for each other with Joyce. The next day, as Giles sets up his new magic shop after what must be the fastest real estate transaction in the history of the world, and Dawn writes in her journal, finishing out the episode's narration.
She still thinks I'm Little Miss Nobody. Just her dumb little sister. Boy, is she in for a surprise.
All right, so Noelle, here we are, Real Me. What'd you think?
So this episode didn't make much of an impression on me, and I think it's because the impact of the episode is supposed to be in the surprise and confusion of Dawn even being here, and everyone acting like, you know, NBD, she's
Like
always
she's
been
just
here.
been
Like Buffy
there all
says
along.
always
Right.
about Dawn several times. So when you know who Dawn is and that she's part of the show and that this is the world of the show going forward, it's kind of like shrug. You know, there's not a lot else here. So instead of like, what the hell? Did I miss something? My reaction just kind of switches to, Dawn is really quite adorable. Like,
Dawn is adorable. I really like that. It's funny. I've never really enjoyed this episode so much because I think it rests so heavily on the annoying little sister thing.
yeah.
Which is something that I don't know. I don't have a lot of time for. I don't know a lot. Like I'm tired of that trope.
Yeah.
You know? But now that I watch it, and actually watching it, for me, having the context of the full show makes this episode so much more interesting to me than it ever was when I just like was first watching it through. You know? And as I go into it, I realize that I like Dawn.
I like Dawn too. And I'm at peace with the fact that maybe it's just me over here, like with my pro Dawn, pro Riley, you know, I'm just like, I'm in this camp all alone and I'm kind of at peace with that.
I like camp unpopular opinion. I think that that's okay.
It's kind of great. I mean, I figure camp unpopular opinion is the camp that got us like your chocolate with your peanut butter with your pretzels, like those things that great taste that maybe you wouldn't have put together originally, but now are mainstream.
Right,
Who knows?
exactly.
But I think Dawn is adorable. I think she is very sweetly and very accurately 14 years old. I love, I'm not going to Hogwarts as a joke. That's just so cute. Like, come on.
God, read a book.
Yeah, God, crack a book, you know? I like Dawn appreciating Willow and Tara. Dawn and Tara thumb wrestling is among my favorite things on the goddamn planet. They are so cute. I like that Dawn plays chess. I love that Dawn saves Buffy by breaking the rules and opening her eyes.
Yeah.
And there's something so just stinking charming about, well, I'm telling Mom you slayed in front of me.
I know. It's so incredibly cute. And like, I do understand why a lot of people hate Dawn. And I think actually that stems from season 6 and maybe some early season 7. Because Dawn is sort of built to be that annoying kid that gets added to TV shows to keep it fresh. We bring Dawn in predominantly in season 5. She is a plot device, you know, and then they have to like transition her into an actual character once that plot is resolved, you know. So I mean, for a lot of times in this, she is the damsel, you know, the capital D damsel for season 5. It's all about the danger to Dawn and what Dawn means to Buffy, but also that Dawn is both real and not real. So Real Me, I think is an interesting title given what we're going to learn about Dawn as we move forward, that she is very real, but she's not real.
Right.
You know? And all of that, I think, is such a crunchy, like, interesting space that we spend the time in during this season. But she's written in this, like, annoying little sister way. Again, which I don't really enjoy that much. It's so incredibly genre savvy, which of course is something that Whedon, I mean, no one can ever accuse Whedon of not being genre savvy.
Right.
Everything that he does is a take on genre. Like Buffy the Vampire Slayer was a take on, oh, it's always the blonde that goes down into the basement and gets killed, right? What if she was the thing the monsters were afraid of? You know, Cabin in the Woods, which is his horror movie, is basically all about, it is a love letter to the horror genre and subverts so many of the things that happen in the horror genre, but it is predominantly about genre. And here we have this little kid being added to the show to freshen it up kind of trope being turned on its head. He likes to take things that are established and then subvert them. And I don't begrudge him that. Like, I think that that's cool and that's fun. But it is extremely genre savvy. And so I think Dawn doesn't really develop like as a character until season 7. Like, we flail with her a lot in season 6. And I think that's why people don't like her.
Well, yeah. I mean, and that makes sense to me. Especially, I had a conversation a little while ago with Dr. Kelly Jones, who is one half of How Story Works Conversations.
Yeah.
And she asked this very astute question. It's like a almost too simple to be simple question, which is why Dawn? You know, you have this successful show with characters that people love. What if you kept everything the same with Glory, and instead of needing a key, she needs Slayer's blood? You could keep everything more or less the same and maybe even bring back Faith for a hot second. So we have this story where we want a human key that Buffy would have to protect with her life. So we made it a little sister because using women's bodies and lives for the advancement of men is always just like super chill, right?
Right.
But like, where will I hide something that I want the Slayer to protect? I know, I'll put it in a little girl, but then I'll make her think she's a real girl and make her go through puberty and middle school as well. Like, it's twisted. It's a fucking patriarchal bullshit of the highest order. I mean, we could have made Miss Kitty Fantastico the key. Or just a cat that Buffy is super duper attached to. I mean, my cats make...
Yeah, give her a dog.
My cats make zero fucking sense. I would lay down my life for those bizarro fuckers. Like, I swear to God. I mean, or if for whatever reason it has to be a person because reasons, right? What about Xander? Why couldn't Xander have been the key? Here's Xander, this bumbling human person who's just doing his best, and we love him most of the time. But he doesn't have magical powers or really any powers. But he's still deserving of protection. I mean, like, why not Xander? Why?
And we've established Buffy's love for Xander or for Willow or for Giles.
Right?
Like, what if Giles was the key?
Like, it could be literally any other human person on the show.
Right.
But we wanted to do this thing with a little girl because genre? Like, is that just a...
Because genre. Yeah. Because Curds and Whey. All right, look, I'm gonna hop into this thing.
I love
down
you
a
for
Curds and Whey
this.
rabbit hole.
I love it.
I love this moment, right? We've got this guy outside the magic shop who says, I know you, Curds and Whey. I know what you are. You don't belong here. Right? And so I love that moment because it does. It's a nod at the audience saying, yeah. We know. Hang in there, right? It's a textual acknowledgement that this kid does not belong here, right? So we had Faith saying Little Miss Muffet in the dream sequence at the end of season 3. And I am convinced that Curds and Whey is a retroactive validation of that line because my dream sequence cynicism game is strong, y'all. Like, I think that they threw in Little Miss Muffet because it sounded like a thing to do, and then they found a way. I believe in Restless, they knew exactly what they were doing because we've seen Restless being echoed you don't know what you
Right.
are, you know, what you've become. You haven't even begun, right? Like we're seeing a lot of these things come in. So in season 4, they absolutely knew it was happening. Back in the end of season 3, no, fuck off. They didn't have this plan. I don't believe it. I don't believe it for a minute. It looks like retroactive validation to me. And because Little Miss Muffet is this little nursery rhyme, it's nothing. Little Miss Muffet sat on her tuffet eating her curds and whey. Along came a spider, sat down beside her, and frightened Miss Muffet away, right? That's it. That's all there is, right? So I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, so we're putting all this weight. We're making this one guy who can see, right? And I love what happens with those who see and those who don't.
Yeah.
You know, those who can see and those who don't. I find that really an interesting kind of thematic line throughout Buffy. Who sees and who doesn't, you know?
Yeah.
And here we have this guy who comes in, freaks out, you know, our little Miss Muffet, right? Freaks out Dawn and says curds and whey and references once again, she is Little Miss Muffet. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, all right. We've got very, very little to work with here. Let's just go ahead and dive in. So first I start with looking up curds and whey. Like, what does this mean aside from, because he could have said along came a spider. He could have said anything, right? Sitting on your tongue. He could have said anything, but they give him curds and whey. So what does it mean? And curds and whey are what happens when milk proteins separate in the making of cheese. Yes, I know. This is fascinating. Everybody stop driving your cars. You'll get into an accident listening to this because, oh my God. So anyway, so some of it becomes solid, the curd, and some of it becomes liquid, the whey, but it's all milk proteins. And that's what happens when you add a chemical called renin, right? Yes, I actually researched this, although I don't know, Googled it. Like, I don't know if you can actually call it research, but anyway.
Oh, it's totally researched. Did you get to the part about
research.
like animal rennet versus vegetable rennet?
No,
Oh, yeah.
I stopped. I didn't have time for that kind of rabbit hole. I was already late to record this morning because of this nonsense. So what do curds and whey represent in and of themselves? Nothing much, right? I don't really feel like there's actually much there, although like a separating of reality into two different states that coexist. I don't know, whatever. I didn't come up with anything that I felt was at all gratifying looking at curds and whey. So you're welcome that I shared all of my nonsense with you. But the part of the nursery rhyme that goes unreferenced is much more interesting, right? Little Miss Muffet sat on her tuffet eating her curds and whey. Along came a spider and sat down beside her and frightened Miss Muffet away. It's the part that's unsaid, the part that's unreferenced directly that I find really interesting. Like, along came a spider. Here we have a young girl just doing her thing, minding her own goddamn business, and along comes this spider, an interruption to her natural state of being, and scares her away, right? So I read Little Miss Muffet, first of all, as a fairy tale supporting the idea of weakness in women, especially young girls, right? Because it's a fucking spider. Along came a spider and Miss Muffet smashed it with a book and then flicked it off the tuffet and continued eating her fucking cheese, right? That's what should have happened, right? But that's not what we do. A tiny little thing freaked out this girl so much that she had to run away from what she was doing, right? So we have a nursery rhyme, right? We are taught these nursery rhymes. These nursery rhymes come to us while we are toddlers, right? This is how we learn language, right? And the first thing we're told is that we have this sense of gendered weakness in children, and we put it in a show that's about one girl in all the world. Now, we just talked about the just a girl theme in Buffy, right, last week, that the personified representation of weakness instilled in us as the first things that we read as children, motherfucking goose, right, is actually the most powerful evil fighter in the world. Once again, genre savvy Joss Whedon subverting the shit out of everything just because it's fun to flip stuff on its head, right? So here we have most powerful evil fighter in the world, and yet she remains unsung and unpaid, which we're going to address later. It's not such a big deal while she's got her mother taking care of her, but later as we get into season 6, the unpaid element of the Slayer is kind of bullshit. It's not just kind of bullshit, it's super bullshit. But she remains unsung, unpaid, the first of her kind, nameless. Yes, I know, Sanea, they name her later. But at this point, that girl is nameless. But what about the others? Like, aside from the contemporary Slayers that have actually been children in the show, Kendra and Faith. We don't name any of them until season 7 with Nikki Wood, right? So at this point, we've named more Watchers than Slayers. We've got Giles, we've got Quentin Travers, we've got Gwendolyn Post, we got Wesley. We even named fucking Collins and Weatherby in the Angel episode Sanctuary, the goons that come to take Faith away, right? And we've already discussed the power of names, right? We have this whole history of Slayers, and it's the Watchers' diaries. It's the Watchers telling their stories. It's the Watchers telling the stories from their perspective. And we've seen Giles reading, right, the Watcher diaries about all the Slayers who've died and what their Watchers did, you know? So we have everything from the perspective of the Watchers. The Watchers are completely running this show. And the Slayers who have killed all these vampires, right, are nothing. We have histories on Angel. We have histories on Spike. We have histories on Drusilla. We have histories on Darla, right?
Yeah.
We're studying the vampires. And yet these Slayers go unfucking named, right? We never talk about that. We never talk about the history of the Slayers. So I think that that's really important. And then we have these monks who are, let's not forget, men, right? Yep. And religion and the patriarchy have been skipping hand in hand through history, you know, stomping everything to a bloody fucking pulp. And I am sorry for the religious people out there. Religion itself, fine. Organized religion and the patriarchy are absolutely, you know, fuck buddies. But anyway, so we have these monks, right, who are putting the key to the destruction of the universe in the form of the least threatening existence that they can possibly imagine, a little girl. And in the end, it's just a girl who disrupts everything, who is not only not afraid of a spider, but isn't afraid of throwing herself into a rip in reality in order to save the world and to save her sister. So when I think about it, what does Little Miss Muffet mean in this context? I mean, honestly, I don't think intentionally it means much of anything. Like I said, I think it's retroactive validation, right? I may be wrong, but that's absolutely how it reads to me. But that said, intentional or not, you know, death of the author, the Little Miss Muffet analysis in the context of Buffy is basically leading me to shorthand for fuck the patriarchy. And I choose to read it that way. I choose to read Little Miss Muffet as a way of saying fuck the patriarchy. And if it is something that Noxon and Espenson and our female writers put in there just for fun, then I'm all for it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and I mean, we've talked about this before, that like the choices that you make in your writing bring all of this meaning along with them, like whether you intend that or not. So, you know, you choose things, like obviously we choose things because we have our own associations with them, you know, when we're writing or creating something. But it's something like a nursery rhyme may have completely different associations for someone else, you know, someone viewing or critiquing or analyzing the creative work. I fucking love it. And I just love that moment with this scary guy, because if you don't remember, like if you don't remember Faith saying Little Miss Muffet in dream space, like if you know, because you're watching, maybe you're watching the show in real time, that
maybe you watched the show in a place before there were like DVDs and streaming. Like I don't know how anybody lived.
Oh my God.
I don't know how I lived before that.
And that's another thing about this episode. Like before you could easily go back and watch something. I mean, yes, there were VCRs and people were recording things off of television to watch later.
But it still wasn't as accessible.
It wasn't.
You know, like
you couldn't,
universally accessible.
You couldn't go back. I mean, unless you had an elaborate system of VCR recording from television, you couldn't go back and watch things. You were watching when it aired, and that was kind of it.
And the reruns.
So,
and not everything got rerun.
Yeah. So I mean, I think about this episode in that context as well, of like, this must have blown people's fucking minds. And I don't mean in a like, oh my God, this is so cool, but in a, what the actual fuck is going on? Right. So that moment with the dude outside the magic shop.
Curds Whey. I know what you are. You don't belong here.
Which, first of all, I just love. Like, he sells the crap out of it. Like, he's clearly a disturbed guy who is
Right.
maybe dangerous. Like, you don't really know. This is Sunnydale, so like something is up. But they sell the shit out of that moment, both with him and with her. I mean, Michelle Trachtenberg, say what you want about Dawn, but she is like
she's
embodied,
great.
14-year-old girl, raw nerve emotion. Like, I love it. But yeah, like that moment with, I know you, Curds and Whey. Like, it's really super creepy, but it's also a nice moment for the audience who's going, what the actual fuck, show? Like, it's a nice moment for the audience in terms of, yes, you're correct. Like, this is wrong.
Yes.
This is twisted. We will address it. It's gonna be okay. Like, we got a creepy guy. We got a creepy guy outside the magic shop. It's gonna be cool. It's interesting though, all of your analysis of Little Miss Muffet and like Dawn and what she's even doing here and, what the hell is even going on brings me to the title of this episode, Real Me. I mentioned at the top of the show, I mistakenly said the real me last week because that's a phrase we're used to hearing. As in, like, no one knows the real me because we're all just, wearing masks all the time. Everything is a performance. Whatever. It's fine. It's all just smoke and mirrors, folks. But
deep down inside, we're all just, shivering puddles of insecurity.
But
it's
seriously, I mean, you think about like the faces that we show the world. I mean, why is vulnerability so hard? Like, why is it so hard to have a hard conversation with someone, even someone that you care about? It's because the real me, folks. But real me, without the definite article, could almost be a command, as in, real me. As in, make me real. I don't know. It's kind of a stretch. But it's something. But it's something to think about at least. And of course, Harmony does say something about finally finding the real me, and I like her. Like, I love Harmony.
I know. I like that Harmony voices it too. And then when we have Harmony, where she's got Dawn chained up, and she's sitting there, like, having a girl talk session with Dawn, who is being like, yes. Okay, very supportive, very girlfriendy, like in that moment, and Harmony's struggling with, nobody respecting her and everything falling apart. And here she is just trying to do something. Like, she's trying to do something.
I love that moment. I can absolutely see myself as, my vampire self, if you will. Having, like, doing some processing with my new BFF hostage,
Sure. BFF / hostage. Sure. These relationships can get complicated. Yes.
Yeah, it gets really complicated. But Harmony, I love Harmony and Dawn together because of that kind of raw nerve vulnerability. Like, Harmony trying to be, I mean, what does Spike say? All puffed up and mighty. And she's like,
all puffed up and mighty.
She's like, yeah, shut up.
I know. And when he's like, it's adorable.
It's so good.
It's so cute. But Harmony is clearly a self-starter, right? She's running this group, I mean, she's not running them well to the point where they're not going to like turn around and kill her,
right?
But she's doing something. She's trying to make something happen. She's got a plan. It's a bad plan, but she's got a plan.
It's the plan.
And I kind of like Harmony's industry, Harmony as a character is made specifically to delight me. Right? Like, so she is one of those things that, like, I can understand people who find her annoying and who don't like her. I fucking adore her. And I think that there's something, I mean, Harmony is absolutely like a case argument for the vampire and the human are not that separate.
Yeah.
The vampire and the human are much more intertwined. It is not that this demon is running around in a Harmony suit. This is Harmony, with her empathy and her morality basically taken away.
Yeah.
And then what's left? Like, these people are still themselves, but when empathy and morality are taken away, this is what happens to them. This is what they become. And Harmony, even with empathy and morality taken away, still has this wonderful, like, sense of herself. I think she still has some residual empathy. I don't think that the vampire transition process is always a complete, I don't know, what would you call it? Empathectomy, I guess would be the thing, right? I don't think it always takes everything out. You know, I think that with Angelus it did. When Angel is Angelus, he's got nothing. You know, but some of these vampires, we see it. I think Spike has it too. And I think that brings in like a wonderful vulnerability into this character. And I love the vulnerability that we have in Harmony. You know, like Spike's vulnerability was his ability to love.
Yeah.
You know, like it was his love that would always get him. That was so deeply within him that it could deeply, deeply hurt him. And with Harmony, you know, I mean, this is one of the things I love, like the vulnerability of not being good at what you like, not being good at what you want to be good at, or being very good at a very bad thing, like in Breaking Bad with Walter White, right? You know, like that is a vulnerability, like, you know, wanting to be good at something and not being good at it and failing, you know, that like fear, that failure, that sense of identity that I am a failure at this thing, that this one thing that's left to me to do, right? For Harmony is be a vampire. And she's not a good vampire.
She's not a good vampire at all. And it's
no, and I love it.
It's so wonderful. There's something like I just love the vampire that you kind of root for. Like, yeah, I don't want her to kill the Slayer, but I also know she's not going to because
right.
You know.
Oh, and she is loaded down with delight armor too.
Yeah.
She and Spike are both loaded with delight armor. I mean, there is no reason why Buffy shouldn't be able to dust her with a dirty look. And yet Harmony lives. Harmony lives through the whole goddamn thing.
She does. And then she moves over to Angel because we can't not have her.
And it's also delightful there.
I'm astounded that there are people who don't like Harmony. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be, but
there are people who don't like. There are people who don't like Buffy. There are people who don't like.
Well, there are people.
Who don't like Spike.
Mean,
like,
I guess there are people who will tell you that water is dehydrating. So you know, it's like we can.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can find basically any. I guess you can find any perspective on anything.
I try to embrace all opinions. Like I think that like whatever your response is to something is an opportunity for you to think about yourself and your response.
Right.
You know, like rather than demanding that everybody agree with you, which is A, impossible, and B, why? Why do we need that? Why do we need that validation? Right? I mean, I can't even tell you how many people get mad at me because I don't see things the way that they see things. And I'm like, why should I? You know, like we are different people. We have different experiences. We have different perspectives. And so I think that like all opinions are valid. People not liking Harmony, I will never understand, but I will respect.
Yeah.
Like people who don't like Harmony, you know what? That's fine. I will love her enough for all of us.
Yeah. Well, you know, like I say, like I'm like, I can't believe it. But also I can't imagine not loving her, which is, you know, that's fine. Love what you love, people. Yeah. But it also
love what you love, right?
And you're right. It does have a lot to do with perspective, which is something that I noticed in this episode watching Xander through Dawn's eyes.
Oh, that is so interesting. I love that she's got a crush on Xander.
Cute. Like it's so cute. Yeah. And the way that that's written and the way that it's played, I love Xander calling Dawn Patrol. It feels so spot on. Nicknames in fiction are one of those things that I'm always a little bit like, nah, I see what you did there. Like you wrote this. This is written, so you can choose
it's
whatever.
Very written.
But it feels right in the world.
It feels very genuine.
And I love Dawn having a crush on Xander. Yeah. And then they play it seriously. It's not like she has a crush on him and he's a total buffoon for the episode. She has a crush on him, and then he's talking to Joyce and he's like, we're just going to play with matches, run with scissors, take candy from some guy. I don't know his name. And it's completely charming. And then he winks at Dawn and it's so cute. And it doesn't feel creepy to me.
Well, because he's not creeping on her.
Right.
But like, you know, like I get like her crush on him, I think is completely fine and cute and adorable. If he ever acted on it, you know, that would be that would be tough.
Well, what I love about this point of view thing is that it doesn't, like, sometimes Xander's I'm the charming, funny guy act, like, reads to me as a viewer as creepy, whether or not he intends to be. And, you know, that's about me, right? But we're so deep in Dawn's POV that his playful, kind of cutesy, you know, like, he's doing this is a little thing that he's doing for her. Like, he's doing this for her benefit, not because he's hitting on her, but because he genuinely likes her. And I just love that dynamic. I enjoy the way he is being playful and friendly with her, and she is enjoying the attention from him. And I am totally cool with all of this as a viewer because delight armor, I don't know. Like, it works for me. Basically, this moment is all about me and my needs, Lani. But like,
I'm all for it.
Absolutely. I like being able to pull out those moments and spot, like, oh, part of the reason this works so well is because it is coming through the point of view of this character, or it's coming through the emotional resonance of this moment or whatever. But like, even watching this from the outside, like, if we weren't so deep in Dawn's POV, I think I would bounce hard off of Xander's, like, I'm the cutesy funny guy nonsense, because you know, and again, maybe that's like me bringing all of myself to my viewing, right? It's like, I've had enough of that.
Does.
Like, not everything is a joke, dudes. Like, not everything is a joke. It's fine. But point of view, I mean, point of view is such a powerful thing in this episode. You know, on a meta, you know, like, in the meta sense of, like, the audience knows that something is seriously off, even if everyone in the show is acting like Dawn has always been here.
Well, I mean, it's steeped in dramatic irony, right? Because we know, but nobody in the show knows.
Yeah, but then we have Dawn through Tara's eyes. And there's that little glimmer of maybe someone in the show beginning to be more aligned with the audience. Maybe not. I don't know. I love that Tara goes out to check on Dawn. Want a thumb wrestle is so fucking cute.
Oh my God, I love it so
fucking
much.
Cute. But then later, when Willow and Tara are unpacking their dorm room and Tara is advocating for Dawn, like, that's such a... There's so much going on in that conversation. And it just raises some questions for me. Like, has she already decided that she, Tara, is too much of an outsider for the group? Are we setting up the she thinks she's a demon, you know, thing? Or is Tara sensing a disturbance in the force and perceiving Dawn as an outsider and wanting to knit her more securely into the fabric of the group without really knowing everything that's going on? I mean,
knowing?
That's my headcanon anyway, that Tara has that, like, you know, something is off spidey sense. Because Tara always knows when something is off, even if she doesn't know that she knows. She's that barometer for reality.
Yeah, no, she really does. And I love all of this with Tara in this episode, you know, and there's so much stuff going on, and Harmony is absolutely, like, you know, pun intended, vamping everything. Like, she is sucking all the air out of the room because she's Harmony and she's amazing. But Tara here in the background is really interesting. I mean, we've talked a lot about having our truth tellers, right? We had Cordelia, now we've got Anya and Spike. But one of the things we haven't really had, you know, as an isolated kind of role is the seer, right? You know, we've given the role of the seer to the truth teller from time to time, but they tell the truth from inside the group. You know, they tell the truth as part of it, you know? And the seer needs distance in order to see everything. And then here comes Tara. And the thing that I find interesting is that Tara, like, the Scoobies are not rejecting Tara. Like, Tara is distancing herself from the core Scooby. She says she's not really sure she wants to be part of the core. You know?
I love that line, and I love the way she delivers it. It's so good. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's such a thoughtful approach to her character. I mean, Tara has run spells to save the day. She has earned her space in the Scooby Corps, right? I mean, she is doing shit. She is making shit happen, you know? But she doesn't try to take that space. So instead of her being outside and desperately wanting in, she's inside and thinking, I don't know that I want to be inside, right? She keeps herself separate because she's our seer and she can see better from a distance. But we're going to see in this season, Tara is moved inside, right? And once she's inside, she can no longer see as clearly, which leads to the events at the beginning of season 6. So yeah, I think it's interesting. I love what they do with Tara.
She's just incredible. And some of that is Amber Benson, and some of it is just this amazing opportunity to bring in this, like, I have no words for what Tara does to the show when she's here. Like, she's this, I mean, it sounds so I don't know, oversimplified, but she really is this magical presence within the group.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because we have like the 5-man band, right? You know, we've got the hero and the lancer and the big guy and the smart guy and the heart, right? You know, and we often like align Xander with the heart, right? And I think that that's because he's got that emotional, empathetic connection, right? Tara feels like the soul. Tara feels like something that we don't ordinarily represent in our narrative, right? Like the spiritual, and, you know, I don't like the magical lesbian thing, you know, okay. But like there's regardless of her Wiccan identity or her like Wiccan, like that's, you know, different from witchcraft or whatever, but they kind of use them interchangeably within the world of this story. And you know, her identity as a lesbian or whatever, that she is the spiritual leader. She is the spiritual connection. Yeah. Right? Yeah. She is the one who remains emotionally and spiritually grounded. And we see that threatened a little bit in this season. We see her, you know, kind of thrown for a loop when her family comes to town in the episode Family. We see her, of course, with her mind stolen by Glory, right, you know, later on in this season. But Tara remains like the spiritual anchor. And it's funny because I'm trying to think of another situation where we've had somebody performing the role of a spiritual, you know, without textually being like a preacher or a rabbi or, you know, something like that, somebody whose role is overtly spiritual in the actual world that they live in, that they've created. But to have somebody be a spiritual anchor as a character role within a story without being explicitly spiritual in their, you know, in their existence, at like, you know, whatever it is that they do day to day.
I mean, I go immediately to like your Jedi masters and your
right,
but even then
they're explicitly, I mean, they're basically space priests.
Yeah, right? I mean, arguably, I'm sure that Robert Hyderett, you know, host of Metaphors Be With You, would have much to say on that. I'm sure I will hear about it after this episode airs. But yeah, I mean, were you thinking of stories in general or on Buffy specifically, or both for this? Like,
I think stories in general. I think that like I honestly, as I'm looking at Tara, and I like, this is the first time I thought about her in the role of a seer. This is the first time I thought about her in the role of the spiritual anchor, not just, you know, somebody who's preaching morality, you know, because that's not really what she does. She behaves morality. She behaves balance, right, and thoughtfulness and care and empathy and all of these things that we align with a deep spiritual practice. So all those people who were annoyed at my like shot at organized religion before, like spirituality, which is deeply, deeply tied to the practice of religion, is awesome. And I'm sorry if I offended you.
Because humans are complicated. Yeah. Like, that's really, humans are complicated, and the systems that humans operate within are complicated, and everything is complicated. Exactly. And why are we even having a conversation? Like, no, but
why are we even?
But right? You know, it's interesting when you mention, when you talk about Tara as this like spiritual center or this. I mean, I think you called her an oracle a couple episodes ago, which I think is really astute. I'm just flashing forward to conversations with dead people where she does not appear, even though we really, really want her to, or at least I do.
Well, no, everybody really, really wanted her to. And my understanding is, from what I've read, and I don't know if this is apocryphal or not, but that when Tara was used as a weapon to hurt Willow, when she saw that, Amber Benson dropped out and said, I won't do it. Which makes Amber Benson the soul of us all.
Right? Okay, that's just...
This may be as much what is written in the text and what Amber Benson actually brings into this character.
Yeah.
So I find it really super interesting.
That's something that I'm always curious about, and it's difficult to find truly accurate information about things like what was on the page, what was written, what was the director, what was the actor,
right, and what did the actor
bring to it? But
well, and the characters change too based on how the actors present them. Like, the writers get to know the actors, they get to see what they can do, and the character then morphs because of the actor's strengths and what the actor brings to it. You know, Spike morphed because of what James Marsters brought to him.
Oh my,
and that's why Spike is loaded down with so much delight armor, the way the Harmony is loaded down with delight armor. And unfortunately, Tara is not, because Tara is our soul. And so we have to, we have to damsel her and put her in danger and do terrible, terrible things.
Because it's a different kind of delight. Yeah. I mean, the delight of Spike,
right?
Like, the delight of Tara is she's going to come out and check on you and like thumb wrestle with you, while everybody else attends to a murder scene. The delight of Spike. Right. I don't know that I can even, I mean, if I ever if you ever want to just like cut your inner thighs open on some cheekbones, like Spike is your guy.
Right.
But also
Spike is definitely the guy.
Spike is your guy if you need somebody to like walk away and give you a bad look. Like, there's so much delightful with Spike.
I know. Spike is, I mean, I love Spike, but season 5 Spike is my favorite Spike. Like, I love that moment when he comes in to kill all of Harmony's minions, and then Harmony takes him aside and he blows Mort a kiss.
Oh my God.
Which I freaking love. And I will state to this day, Spike is goddamn bisexual, and we were robbed of Spike with another man at some point in this.
Yeah.
We were robbed.
Spike is omnisexual. Are you kidding me?
Spike is right. Spike is whatever the term is for. He will gleefully find attractiveness in everyone.
Yep.
Like, that is a glee sexual, a joy sexual. Like, there's something about him that he is sexual. He has chemistry. He has that with everybody.
That is swagger for the collective, people. Like, it is so good. And he and Harmony have chemistry. Like, okay, Spike and Harmony. I actually have some issues with Spike and Harmony, but I also really enjoy them because they do smolder the house down. But so Spike ultimately is a lover, not a fighter.
Yeah.
And his love is like, that's where the vulnerability lies for him. And that's where the empathy hasn't been completely like sanded off by the demon that inhabits him, or whatever the fuck, however that works.
Yes.
But he's so fucking mean to Harmony. And I'm just like, stop. Like, stop it. What is wrong with you?
Well, he's always mean to Harmony, but I kind of love this moment, right? Where he says, "Look at you.
Look at you. All puffed up and mighty. Thinking you're the new big bad. It's well, let's face it, it's adorable."
'Cause it is adorable, but also like, fuck you, Blondie Bear, like
It is adorable, and also fuck you, which is like the joy of Spike. But all I have to say is, get you a vamp who smiles at you the way that Spike smiles at like everybody.
Spike,
because damn, everybody needs a Spike, I'm telling you.
Without the, I don't know, without the like actual murder,
without the actual blood and murder,
without
and all
the
that
actual
kind of
like
stuff.
murder,
But like a Spike who takes delight in everything, you know, like he's the ultimate in hedonism.
Yes.
You know, I mean, and there's just something lovely about someone who can enjoy the existence.
He's just here to have a great time. Really.
He's just here to have a good goddamn time. And under whatever circumstances that good time appears, he doesn't much care. And there's something about that I love. I also really love that we get Tom Link, who in the future will play Andrew in season 6 and season 7, as Cyrus the Vamp. Now we keep him in vamp face the whole time because we have to know he's bad, right?
Yes.
Because minion vamps are in vamp face all the time. So we always know they're evil and don't associate them as human. And he's just so incredibly cute. And I love him as Andrew. I love there are rough moments with Andrew. There are some rough moments with the way that the character is treated. But overall, I think that Tom Lenk as a performer is like up there for me with Emma Caulfield.
Yes.
And like everything he does fucking delights me.
Yep. Oh my God. Speaking of Emma Caulfield,
yes.
Anya playing the game of life. Talk about,
my God.
like,
this is where Anya's obsession with money comes from, right?
Yep. Saddled with a husband and a house and several tiny pig children. Tons of
that
cash.
Means you're winning.
She's so mad. That means you're winning. She's so great. And then later, you know, it's a Slayer's house. You'd think there'd be more weapons lying around. Like, she's so... she's so great. She's so great. But yeah, we get this is where we turn the corner on Anya and capitalism.
Yeah.
Which is it becomes a thing. Which becomes a thing. And that is a shift for her. We will find out. Right?
Yes.
In her past, she was not.
She was fighting for the proletariat, man.
So,
yeah. She was a populist mama. All right, Noelle, what are you wearing?
Okay, Xander's babysitting shirt. Like, what
Aww.
even is that? He's so adorable, but he's clearly like flagging for something. Like, what? It's like purple with little... It's just got this wild print. Like, go back and pause, everybody, and tell me what all is going on that shirt, because it is something.
That shirt is saying something because it's loud.
I mean, yeah. Like, we can hear your shirt from over here. But, like, what... I don't know. I don't know what we're supposed to make of Xander from what he's wearing in this episode, except maybe that he's, like, the funny, fun, cute guy.
I think Xander's wardrobe in general is meant to, and I mean, I have to say that my kid's dad, when we first got together, he was a Xander dresser. Like, he wore,
I've known a Xander dresser too.
Yeah, he wore like the weirdest shit, and I was like, okay with it. You know, I was like, okay, that kind of expresses who you are. That's fine. You know, but yeah, there's something about guys like that, and you know, and honestly, my kid's dad, not entirely unlike Xander in a lot of ways. Entirely unlike Xander in a lot of ways, which may be where I get such an incredible affection for Xander. There may be a little bit of transference there from my deep love for my kid's dad.
I'm not transferry.
A little, it's a little transfer, and that's the thing. Everything that you enjoy and you love and you hate in a story is related directly to your experiences.
Totally.
So when somebody loves what you hate or hates what you love, doesn't even matter because it got nothing to do with you. All right, so girl power moment of the week.
Oh, not with a girl power bit.
What do you got?
Oh my word! What have I got? So I mean. I'm like, I really wanted it to be Buffy doing Slayer CrossFit, but honestly, it's Tara comforting Dawn, Tara talking to Willow about being an outsider and advocating for Dawn, Tara knowing the shopkeeper's name, just all of Tara, just all of Tara.
I know, she's so great. I also love a little Harmony. I love Harmony trying to, like, you know, get her mission statement out. Harmony just fucking leaning in is like that is my thing. We're not eating the girl. That's not the plan.
Oh my God.
I love all of that, and her, her like, inspirational meeting, her TED talk in the lair, I love the whole thing. I love the whole thing. Harmony is honestly she is my girl power. She is everything for me. So what's your favorite part, Noelle, for real me?
My favorite part is a tie between the Summers women doing breakfast choreography.
Oh my God, that was like Hitchcock level blocking, right? Everything that they're doing there.
I'm like, this is like, I want a door slamming farce next, but like that was great.
I know, right?
That was great. Also, I wish that the morning routine blocking at my house were even like a fraction of that good, because
if it would only be that smooth.
It's not.
Yeah.
But it's either that or it's Giles getting inspired by the magic shop interior while Willow is looking over the books.
Right? Isn't that wonderful?
He's so cute. You just see the beginnings of it. I love it. Giles excited about life again. I'm here for it.
I love it. Look at that square footage. It's so great.
What about you? What's your favorite part?
Harmony complaining to Dawn about how nobody understands her either. I like this kind of connection between Harmony and Dawn. Although I gotta say, we got a tight runner-up with when Buffy dusts Mort with Harmony's unicorn.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a ceramic unicorn. I believe that I will believe that the horn was wooden.
Well, it's a carousel unicorn, which is so, again, campy. I was talking about camp last week, but like the best parts of Buffy's scrappy Slayer performance are these things where she breaks the fucking leg off a chair and stakes a vampire, or I'll use this wooden carousel unicorn horn to stick up. Like, come on. It's so good.
I love it. And when Veronica Mars, in season 3 of Veronica Mars, Veronica uses a unicorn to defend herself. And I am absolutely certain that is a nod to Buffy.
I hope so.
Absolutely convinced
it's
of
the
that.
best answer.
I love that. I love that.
If you enjoyed this conversation and would like to join in, come find us on social media. Lani is at Lani Diane Rich on Twitter, and I am at Noelle Aloud on Instagram. And the hashtag is Still Pretty.
This episode of Still Pretty was brought to you by the Chipperish media producers who support us on Patreon at the power producer level. These people are the reason why Still Pretty is coming to you free and ad-free right now. So thank you to our March producers, Sarah, Shelley, Kristen, Kevin, Alyssa, Erica, Abigail, West, and Jonathan. And this week's special message for our power producers: scary vampires. They die from a splinter.
To find out how you too can support Chipperish Media, visit patreon.com/Chipperish. Other ways to show your support: write a great review on Apple Podcasts, tell your friends about the show, or by being all puffed up and mighty, thinking you're the new big bad. It's adorable.
We will be back next time with The Replacement, the 3rd episode of season 5. Until then, we're not eating the girl.
Why not?
Because that's not the plan.